and welcome to At Home with Dan. My name's Dan Gran. I run a small business called At the Dinner Party. It's a private catering business, and like many others out there during this lockdown time, I am stuck at home. So I thought, what can I do with my skills? And I thought I'd bring together a few recipes and episodes on social media for you guys to follow along and have a go yourselves. So today is the first one, so forgive me if there's any hiccups or mistakes. But we're going to start with quite a simple bakery one, and we'll see how it goes from there. So today, like I said, we're going to make scones. But quite simply, we've got a big bowl with some flour in, self-raising flour this one. It's sifted in here as well. You don't have to, but if you want to, go for it. Everybody seems to be struggling to get flour at this moment in time. Really good little tip for you: if you live in a market town or a little village, go to your local store. Don't go to one of the big chains. They seem to have nothing available. Go to a small independent store and they seem to have everything you need. So we've got self-raising flour, we've got 2 eggs, we've got some butter which is already diced up and it's at room temperature as well. It's a good point, room temperature. We've got some caster sugar, we've got some baking powder, and an optional ingredient. You can do plain scones or you can do fruit scones. I'm going to put some fruit in because it's my preferred flavour. So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is I'm just going to switch my oven on to preheat. I'm going to preheat that to 200 degrees. So now that's on, next thing I'm going to do is going to take the caster sugar, so put the caster sugar in with the flour. We're going to put the baking powder in with the flour. Give that a little mix in, just to incorporate those ingredients together, and then we're going to add our already room temperature butter, and the fact that it's room temperature is just going to make it kind of incorporate that a little bit faster. If you wanted to, you'd be more than welcome to do this on one of the electric mixers, or like a KitchenAid type thing, or what we call a planetary mixer. For me, scones is one of the first things I learned to make as a kid. I used to bake a lot with my gran at home, and this is just the way my granny taught me. So what I'm doing is I'm using my fingers and my thumbs, and I'm just bringing those together, crumbling the butter into the flour. This is what's known as the rubbing in method. So as I say, you could do it with a machine, but there's something rather therapeutic about using your hands in this. So you just mix that together, and what we're looking for is once all the butter is incorporated and we get rid of any big lumps, you'll see it starts turning into a kind of breadcrumb consistency, and that's what we're looking for. So that to me is looking really good. If you give the bowl a little shake, any big bits of butter will actually raise to the surface, and as you can see, that's looking fine to me. So the next thing we do is we can add our fruit into there if you're adding fruit. So I'm just using some dried raisins. What you could do, you could use, say, glacé cherries, you could use mixed fruits, you could put mixed peel in there. Really, it's up to you, as long as the fruit's dry. You don't want to put anything wet in there because it'll alter the recipe. So mix that off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my scales. So you can do this in a measuring jug if you so wish, but basically I've got 2 eggs here, like I said before, and I'm going to crack these into a bowl. And then what I need is I need the liquid, the quantity of liquid, to go to 300 millilitres. So I actually don't have a measuring jug, I've broken the measuring jug. But as a rule of thumb, 1 milliliter tends to be 1 gram in liquid. So you can actually use your skill. So I'm just going to 300 grams in liquid there. And then I'm just going to give that a little beat up. I'm going to make a little well in the centre of the flour, and you may find that you don't need all of this mix. Recipes do not take into account the conditions in which your ingredients are being kept. So for example, a lot of people don't realise that if you say live in a farmhouse and you've got an Aga, your kitchens can be quite warm and humid, and that humidity actually affects the flour. It can actually make the flour damp, meaning that you don't need as much liquid. So with this, we're just going to mix it in until I get a nice dough. It's coming together nicely there. If you feel that it's a little bit too sticky, you can always just add a little touch of flour to get it off your hands. So at the moment that's just a little bit too wet. A little bit extra flour. So what you want is a nice light. A lot of people add a little bit too much flour and it's not enough moisture, so you end up with a really tight scone mix. So I'm just getting all the excess off my hands. And then what we're going to do now is I'm just going to lightly flour the work surface. So you can get your dough out onto the work surface, and you can give it a little bit of a move around, but not too much, just so it's nicely mixed together. The trick with scones is it's classed as a pastry. It doesn't like to be overworked, unlike bread where you purposely knead the dough. Scone doesn't like to be overworked. So just gently get it into a nice ball. So I've floured the surface, I've floured the top. I do have a rolling pin, so I've got my rolling pin here. I'm just going to put a little touch of flour on the rolling pin, and I'm going to roll that out. So remember, scones do rise, so you don't want to roll them out too thick or too thin, so I'm going for a couple of centimetres there. And then I'm using a fluted cutter. You can use a straight edge cutter if you want. This is about 5 centimetres or so. Cut them out and try and get as many as you can out of one mix, and then with the excess trimmings just gently roll it back up into a ball, and then you can roll it out and cut more out. You'll find the more times you do it and the further you get on in the process of cutting them out, the scones towards the end are actually, they don't rise as much because you've overworked the mix and it becomes quite tight. So where possible, try not to overwork it too much. So you're still left with quite a good chunk there, which we can just re-roll. Get my trays. So I've got 2 baking trays I've pre-lined with some non-slip. So I've got these non-slip silicone mats, which are fantastic because they're reusable. You can just use baking parchment if you don't have these. So I'm just going to lay those on. Give them a little bit of space because, as I said, they will rise up. So maybe get about 9 on a tray. So this recipe should make in the region of about 16, depending on the size you cut them out. So just, as I say, just as gently as you can, bring that back together into a ball. You don't want to overwork it too much. Again, roll it out. And then again, get as many as you can, so I'm just going to get 4 out of this one. Get these onto the tray as well. So what I'm going to do, because this has already been done twice, I don't really want to do another one because it'll get really tight, it won't rise very much. So this is what I'm going to do, is what we call the chef taster. So I'm just going to roll it up into a bit of a ball, flatten it down, and we do a bit of a bigger one for the chef to have. Have some egg mix left like I do, a little bit of egg and milk there. What we'll do is take a pastry brush, just use the excess milk. If you didn't have any excess milk, you can use just a little bit of fresh milk, just a brush, or if you want to, you can egg wash. So what we're going to do, just brush those, give them a nice coat, and this is what turns them nice and golden brown. And then what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put them straight in the oven now. A really good tip that I got taught many years ago, and a lot of recipes don't tell you to do this, is once the mix is being made and the flour contains a lot of gluten, and it's the gluten that basically holds everything together and gives it its kind of sponginess and elasticity. It needs a little bit of time to rest, so if possible, if you've got room in your fridge, put the ready-made scones with the egg wash, stick them in the fridge for 10 minutes before you bake them. If you don't have any room in the fridge, it's fine, just leave them on the bench, but just give them 10 minutes for that gluten to rest in the flour. And what that should do is, once it relaxes, it won't be as tight or it won't be as strong elastically, and basically that means your scones will actually rise up that little bit further. If you were to put them straight in the oven, they're still going to rise, it's not an issue, it'll be fine. But as I say, it's just a case of it relaxing. If you think of bread, when you make bread, when you knead it and roll it out, think of a pizza base, you roll the pizza base out and it springs back. That's what our scones are doing at the minute. So if you just give them that 10 minutes to rest, they're going to come back and then they'll puff up that a little bit more. So we'll come back in 10 minutes time and we'll stick them in the oven. Right guys, so our 10 minutes has passed. They've had a little rest now, so what we're going to do is just get them into the oven now. So we preheated the oven already, it's at 200 degrees. So that's 200 degrees on a fan oven. If you don't have a fan assisted oven, a little bit hot, maybe it's 210, 220. It's around about gas mark 7. So we're just going to stick those in the oven. Right now, so once they're in the oven, that's about maybe 12 to 15 minutes for them to cook. So we'll check them after 12. What we're looking for is a nice light pale golden brown colour. They should have risen up a little bit, they'll have a few cracks and stuff around the side. So we'll come back in 12 minutes, see how they are. If they need a little bit longer, we can give them a few more minutes. Right everybody, so our 12 minutes is up, let's get to the oven and see if they're ready. Take your cloth, make sure your cloth's dry. A lot of people make the mistake of using a damp cloth and then it burns their hands. Nice and golden all the way around. We've got the big chef one in the corner. Just going to turn that over now. So they look perfect to me, nice and golden. As I said, there's a few cracks and stuff. So I'm just going to get these off onto a cooling tray. So now basically, they're essentially ready to eat. They're very hot, they're just out of the oven. And right now it's a case of being patient enough to let them cool down. So you can let them cool for as long as you want, or as long as your patience will allow you. And then they're ready to have with a lovely cup of tea. Right guys, so a few minutes have passed, and I mean literally a few, I'm very impatient. So treat them to taste, I suppose. So take your scone, pull it apart, should be nice and fluffy on the inside. Now this is the thing that causes a lot of arguments and commotion. What goes first, the jam or the cream? For me personally, I put the clotted cream on first. The way I see it is the cream, it's your fat, it's like your butter. When you make, say, a cheese sandwich, you don't put your cheese on before your butter, do you? So the way I see it is cream first, jam second. So really nice big glug of clotted cream there. Don't be shy, and it's got to be clotted cream. You can't use pouring cream or you can't use whipped cream. Go for clotted cream. And then for me, my personal favourite, I prefer raspberry jam. So raspberry jam on there. You can use whatever jam you want. It's entirely up to you, your preference. So that's there. So there you go guys, first episode of At Home with Dan. The traditional and classic English scone with clotted cream and jam. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on my social media. So my social media handle is @thedinnerparty by Dan Gran. If you do a search engine of that, it should come up with my website, with my Facebook and Instagram and things. Give me a follow, give me a comment. Any recipes that you want to see me do, let me know and we'll get them done. And in the meantime, enjoy your cooking, happy cooking, and enjoy your coffee and scone.